Hey guys, it's Evan Reel with Life and Style Mag, and today I am joined by the one and only, the beautiful Siggy Flicker. You know, people might not have understood why you got so upset by Margaret's comment.
Yes, well, I think that people don't understand the subject, but if, and I'm going to say something that's, I hope it doesn't get spun in the wrong way, but if I was on Housewives of Atlanta and I say to somebody, the KKK wouldn't have done anything to me, does that make them a bad person? Everybody would have understood that right away, okay? But here, I'm not getting along with a person for months. We had just made up 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. You're talking about Kim D, who you had never met at the time, but you have Hitler on your brain when looking at the only Jewish girl at the table. Something about that was just so shocking to me.
Right.
And then when I tried to explain to the other girls about the Holocaust, who I am, my history, how Hitler's name should never be trivialized, it should never be brought up in casual conversation.
Right.
If I'm talking about Sweet and Low or a charity event for a distressed family, Hitler shouldn't even come into play.
Right.
But everybody looked at me like, oh my God, she was just making an analogy. No, the analogy was wrong. It was in poor taste. Now, whether she's an anti-Semite or not, I already apologized for that. I don't know what's in somebody's heart, but when I tried to explain myself to her, instead of getting a little bit of empathy or that, all I got was just snark and, oh, get over it. It's just, whatever it was, chemistry is everything.
Right.
Our chemistries just don't work. But I stand behind the fact to educate people. You're having a conversation about something far removed. If you and I were talking about history and you said to me, today I learned about the Holocaust, or I'm going to go visit Anne Frank's house in Holland, I'd say, yeah, Adolf Hitler. We could talk about that. You're talking about a charity event.
It was just felt so out of context, right?
It was meant to hurt me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It did.
Why don't you think she understood the gravity of how it impacted you?
I can't really speak for that. We had, this season was a very tough one for me. I feel like every season somebody's targeted. This season, it was definitely me.
Yeah.
A lot of things that you don't see. So when we film for 12 hours, you see 2 minutes. I could just tell you that my husband was brought up, my children were brought up plenty of times, my profession, my hysterectomy, things that were brought up that were below the belt. The Hitler comment just took me to another place, and for me, it's who I am. Nobody has walked in my shoes. Nobody has the right to tell me how to feel. And at the end of the day, I wanted to take this negative experience and say, how can I, God, why? What can I do with this to make it positive? Well, now I'm using this platform to educate people, and I'm working on several projects, even with my father, which to me is an honor, because
that is amazing.
He's the sweetest. And
I love the chemistry between you and your father. You even see it on the show. You guys are just so sweet together. Both your parents are adorable.
Adorable.
They're so cute.
Listen, I was born during the 6-Day War. People know that I'm over the top. I'm going to shimmy. I'm going to stick out my tongue. I'm going to be Siggy. I like to have fun.
Honestly, the shimmy and the sticking out the tongue was probably my favorite part this whole season. Everyone was like freaking out on Twitter, and I'm like, it's amazing. It was such an iconic Housewives moment.
I put something on Twitter. If somebody gave you the middle finger for 4 hours, and finally you went, really?
Right.
And then they only show you giving the middle finger. There's a lot of things that you didn't see, but at the end of the day, my parents are very cool, calm people. My sister's calm, my brother's calm. And I always, I was born during a time where there was, a lot of chaos in my country, and it is what it is, but my intentions were always good.
Yeah.
And my parents they're angels.
Absolutely. And your dad was really, he gave you some sound advice about the whole situation with Margaret. He told you to stay away.
Yes.
Do you feel like you were able to listen to his advice? It's kind of hard when you're filming a show with someone.
That's what I was going to say. His advice was my advice to anybody.
Yeah.
People say to me, how come your life is so fabulous? Well, listen, everybody
your life does look pretty fabulous.
No, my life is fabulous, but listen, don't judge a book by its cover. But the reason why is because when I see toxic situation, I go this way.
Right.
When somebody and I don't get along, I say, listen, thank you for your time and consideration, goodbye. Here, I'm forced to be with people that I would never hang out with in real life.
Right.
And I'm sorry that I have to be so honest. I know it sounds like, but I would never, and you're forced to be with them, and on top of it, drama sells. And we don't just get to leave a room with saying, "Hi, how are you? You look beautiful." No, we're there to bring it. And to me, if it wasn't for Dolores Catania, I don't know if I would have survived the season.